We'll call the meeting to order. First item is the invocation by Reverend Pamela Schmaling, Anglican Church of the Holy Spirit.
Let us pray. Lord God, you are the source of all that's good, and we thank you for our city of Prescott Valley, and we ask your continued blessings upon our mayor, our city council members, our city officials, our first responders, and all the people who work to make our city a safer and prosperous place in which to live. May all that is said and done here be a blessing to many people and pleasing to you, Father. We pray this in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Corey will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Reverend. Okay, we move on then. Next item is roll call. Diane?
Mayor Skoog?
Present.
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Here.
Councilmember Grossman?
Here.
Councilmember Mallory is absent this evening. Councilmember Marshall?
Here.
Councilmember Nye?
Present.
Councilmember Whiting?
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. We'll move on to scheduled announcements and presentations. Chamber of Commerce. Oh, there's Zach. Come on up, Zach.
All right. Good evening, Council. Just want to say thank you. We always come here every month. I get the opportunity to introduce one of our members with the Chamber, and today I would like to introduce Project Manager William Shackelford with Coit Cleaning and Restoration Services.
Good evening, everyone. My name is William. I work with Coit Cleaning and Restoration. We deal with water, fire, mold, carpet cleaning, HVAC cleanings, anything cleaning, really. Our official open date is Monday, the 14th. We will be here. We have an office shop area off of East Valley Road, and we're real excited to be part of the community and look forward to working with everybody and seeing everybody in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we have coming up here. Prescott Valley Days, really fun carnival, great time. It's actually in a different location this year at the Entertainment District, and we've merged it a little bit here with Salute to Heroes. So it's supposed to be a lot bigger, a lot more fun, a lot of things going on, and I just wanted to talk about that for a second. It starts Thursday, April 21st. At 5 p.m., the carnival opens, and then Friday, April 22nd, you can go over to Sun Valley Tire at 8337 East Highway 69 in Prescott Valley, and you can see the big old Bigfoot monster truck over there. They're going to be displaying that, getting that prep for Sunday when they're going to have their big show, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Carnival opens at 4 p.m. on Friday, beer gardens at 5 p.m., and then bring your disco shoes. We have a disco going on at 7 p.m., and the Matchstick Rush Fire Show, these guys spit fire, throw fire, fling fire, whatever you can think of with fire. It's awesome. Come check that out. Saturday, April 23rd, we're having the PV Days Parade. The theme this year is Good Times in Prescott Valley. And then at 12 p.m., right after the parade, that carnival is going to be opening up. 5 p.m., the beer garden again, and then 6 p.m., live music with Don Cheek and the Cheek Tones. So come on out, dance, have fun. And then our last day there, Sunday, April 24th, the carnival opens at noon. That's where we're going to see more of the Salute to Heroes things going on at 11 o'clock till 3:30. It's going to be monster truck shows, fire responders, first responders, fire and sheriff's apparatuses are going to be going on. There's going to be a lot of cool things going on that day. And then the monster truck and BMX show is going on at 4 p.m. at the event center. and that's $13 for adults and $4 for children under 12. So try to make it out there, have fun, and celebrate this awesome community we live in. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it. Okay, next is Aricia, I don't know how you pronounce that. Lucy Solar Association, Lucy Mason. You'll have to correct my pronunciation, Lucy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I do appreciate the opportunity to stand before you tonight. I haven't been here in a while. This is great. I am now I'm the Executive Director of the Arizona Solar Energy Industries Association, and I have business cards here for you that I can pass out later. But what I'm here to do is to present to you an invitation. ARISEA is looking for members. And what we're doing right now is the way we're addressing cities and towns is to offer a membership to you, which I've talked with the mayor extensively about, and I've got about 10 minutes to do it tonight, but I would be happy to talk with each one of you individually if you would so choose. But what the membership entails is, for cities and towns, is that you would become a solar-friendly city. This is about business. This is about creating business and growing business and inviting the solar industries into your city. And what we do is, with your membership, you're advertised on our website. We represent you down at the legislature, which I have to just say, I have with me Corey Garrison today, who said the pledge, and he's the treasurer of ARISEA. And I have spent the greater part of the last 3 weeks down at the legislature monitoring a bill that could be harmful. And so there is a real need to represent our members at the legislature, at the Corporation Commission, which our board members are doing right now as well. We've kind of been splitting. Some of us are at the legislature, some of us are at the Corporation Commission, some of us are trying to meet with the governor's office to let Arizona know and understand what we have here in the sun as an energy generator and as an industry. We have the opportunity here in Arizona, especially in northern Arizona, where we are with Prescott Valley and Prescott and Chino Valley and north of that. We have land, we have the sun, we have the altitude, and it's not just about solar on rooftops, although that is the market right now, but it is about industry. It's about distribution centers, it's about manufacturing centers, it's about corporate headquarters. Wouldn't you love to have some of these major companies that are locating elsewhere in our towns here? There's such opportunity that we don't want to miss it. We have a window of time here to be able to bring cities and towns into our ability to bring new industry and new leadership in the solar industry arena. I have a sheet here that I'm going to give to you. My computer completely broke down, and so I just apologize. I will get this to you, but I've got 15 points here, and I will read some of them to you. Along with having you on our website and along with representing you as a member at the Arizona Legislature and Governor's Office and Corporation Commission, we create united educational front to be able to go out and help people understand. We go to the media. In fact, Corey and I were just on KQ&A. And we'll be doing a lot of that. We're going to be meeting with homeowners associations. We have created a speakers bureau to help educate citizens around the state. I and others in ARISEA will be going around to all 91 cities in the state of Arizona, inviting them to become members. Now, why is this important? Because one of the first things that I hear from a legislator or a corporation commissioner, which I've met with many of them, I've met with all the commissioners, is the first thing they ask me is, how many members do you have? That's important because when the legislature and the commissioners see that we have cities and towns that are members, you're all voters. These are all elected people down at the legislature and in the Corporation Commission, and including the governor. And when we show major representation from cities and towns and from businesses, and some of the major businesses around the country are starting to join us now, we have a voice. And that is an industry voice that it's incredibly important to the state of Arizona for economic recovery, for revenues, for jobs. And if Arizona isn't interested in solar, I can't imagine where else would be. I have to tell you, I was thoroughly embarrassed. This is many years ago, and I was the keynote speaker in Washington, D.C. for the Legislative Executive Council. And I was talking about all the sun in Arizona and about the solar opportunities. And then I found out later that New Jersey was the #1 solar installation in the country. This is not acceptable. We have the most sun in the entire country, and with our policies and with our voices, creating the inviting policies and the inviting legislation into the state from that quadrant, we invite industry into the state. And so you can see, I would like very much to invite you to become members to help us achieve this, and to also, as we work together, what we do is we bring in industry to Prescott Valley. And I think that it's nothing but positive for all of us. You can see the importance of every single city in this membership. I also want to let you know that we have started an individual membership, so that we have people who are interested in having solar on their roof, or they have solar on their roof, or they're interested in the subject and they want to become members. They can become members for $50 a year. And again, this is about building that voice for our government entities, and to let people know outside of the state that we are a solar-friendly state. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Questions, anyone? Marty?
I just want to be clear on this. You have an association where you are not a solar provider, but you are a voice of the solar industry to the legislature to make sure that they do not pass any solar unfriendly bills, correct?
That is one of the things that we do, that's correct. But I'll have to tell you, it's a trade association. We have about 40 members right now that are business people. Corey here has his own business. He's a solar installer. And we have big industry leaders that are becoming members now, but mostly they're small businesses.
Well, my next question is going to be, how many solar providers are part of your association right now?
I can't tell you, because there's so many different parts to the solar industry that have business. You know, we have Solar City is a member. We have SunEdison just joined us. We have we have probably, I don't know, Corey, probably 30 or 40, 30 to 40 solar installers. And so what they do is they purchase the panels and they work with people to get the panels installed. Some of them do ground, some of them do commercial, some of them do rooftop, some of them do, parking facilities. There's some of them are very commercial. Wilson Electric is a member. They're a very big electric company, and they have a whole section of their business that is renewables. So.
Okay, that's good to know. And you're saying that you're going to make it available soon to an individual, so that
yes.
it's $50 a year?
Correct.
Is it a year-to-year?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what would the cost be for the town of Prescott Valley?
Well, we talked about this as $3,000 for the year.
Okay.
And then also you would receive, you would get the publicity for becoming a solar-friendly city. We would list you with. I still have to work on this, but I want to list you with the League of Cities and Towns as a solar-friendly city as well.
Mickey, that question? Anyone else? I think we should set that up for discussion, Larry. Future meeting. Thank you.
And I'd be happy to answer any other questions. You know, I'm going to leave cards with Larry over here, and if you want to get back to me, that'd be fine. Thank you so much,
Appreciate
Mayor Council.
that. Thank you. Okay, comments, communications from the council. Anybody? You got one? Okay.
I just want to let everybody know, this morning I attended the open house at the Wildland Fire Academy that's held while Embry-Riddle's on spring break. And once again, it was just an incredible display of what they do and how much they know. It was probably the largest class they've had in a very long time. They had over 750 students, and they were teaching 50 different classes for certifications. And it was actually pretty remarkable. I mean, it was a fun day. So I just want to let everybody know that in the area there is a crown jewel, and this is the premier Wildland Fire Academy probably in the world. So and it brings a nice amount of revenue to the Quad City area. So I just want to let everybody know you were represented there.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, anyone? Okay, if there's no other, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Town Council and will be enacted by one motion. There be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on a specific item, that will be removed and considered separately. A is the approving the February 25th, 2016 council meeting minutes. B is approving acceptance of the Eileen J. Murray revocable trust warranty deed for lot 6495 in unit 16 for the town of Prescott Valley. Leroy Murray, representative. And C is approving accounts payable. Anybody want to pull an item, or do you want to approve the consent agenda as shown?
A motion to approve all items on the consent agenda.
Second, anyone?
I'll second that, Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Can you set the vote, Diane? Somebody not voting?
Mine's not coming up, so
Councilmember Whiting, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
yes.
Thank you. Result of that vote, Mayor, is 6-0.
6-0. That's unanimous. Thank you, Dan. Okay, we move on then to number 8, old business for action. A is considering approving the second reading and passage of ordinance number 814, adopting ZMC 15-006, spouse loose. And that'll be Carmen. Are you going to do any explanation on it? Okay, we've studied this in work study. Do you want to act on it? If there's none, then I'm going to ask Town Clerk to read ordinance number 814 by title only for the second reading.
Ordinance number 814, an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of the Town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, amending town zoning map CMC 15-006 by changing the zoning classification of approximately 20 various vacant parcels located between Sauter Drive East and Parent Road on Spouse Drive and Luce Drive in portions of Section 4 and 5, Township 14 North, Range 1 west of the Gila and Salt River Meridian, Yavapai County, Arizona, from C1 Commercial Neighborhood Sales and Services to R3, RS3, PAD, Residential and Services Planned Area Development Zoning, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
Thank you, Dan. With that, shall the ordinance pass? Would you set the vote, Diane?
Councilmember Whiting?
Yes.
Again, Mayor, that came up 6-0.
Okay, thank you. That passes. Then we'll go on to 9A, consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 1953, revising the town's administrative fees to delegate authority to the police department to set certain administrative fees from time to time by general orders. Larry, you have any comments?
Yes, Mayor and Council. What you've got in front of you this evening is that from time to time the police department ends up with certain administrative fees like towing, and making minor adjustments in those is something that we end up, by the rules, coming to you for minor adjustments. And if you are so inclined, you can go ahead and change that approach to doing business and administratively allow those fees to be modified. That's essentially what it is.
Good. Questions, anybody?
Mr. Mayor, I had a question, and that was, I noticed in the paperwork that we have different categories of costs that don't include, I guess, this latest version that we want to adopt in this document. And I was wondering if that's something to be included or not necessarily, or is it going to be up to the police department to determine what the costs are on a case-by-case basis?
Essentially, the direction that has been given over the years is that we want to recover the cost of doing business, and when we end up seeing adjustments upwardly in the cost of doing business and we're not recovering those funds, then it would be very appropriate, following your directive, to go ahead and get services to pay for themselves, that we would be able to make a $5 adjustment or something along those lines. That's essentially what we're asking for, is the ability to go ahead and make those minor adjustments.
Any other questions? Laura?
What kind of data did you use to determine the costs so that we be sure we have cost recovery?
We take a look at what it costs us to provide a service. Case in point, water and sewer fees. Okay, we do a computer analysis as to what our total costs are to pump 1,000 gallons of water, and we bring any adjustments to you for rate adjustments, but that's significant. That's something that affects over 19,500 customers, and so appropriately any rate adjustments of a magnitude like that are brought to you, and that's after a long analysis doing that. When it comes to something like towing fees, it's pretty cut and dry as to, okay, the cost of a tow is such and such, and it's just been raised $10 a tow, for example, or 20 cents a mile, and any of the fees to administer that, it's pretty cut and dry.
So this is not an income generator. This is a cost recovery.
That is correct.
All right. It's important our citizens know that.
Right, and it's affecting essentially police operations and making sure that playing field is level.
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Mike?
Yeah, I just want to clarify again. What caught my eye was in the body of some of the information we were reading, that we get involved with tow companies and rotation of the equipment to ensure everybody has an equal access to providing that service. Will that be listed in the resolution that we have? Because I noticed again that we have a lot of different categories, but not necessarily something like that.
You are asking a very good question, Councilmember Whiting. One of the more controversial things that any police department in the country does is deal with towing companies. And it is always controversial, and it is because it is a very competitive environment. We move heaven and earth to open up towing opportunities to all of the towing companies in town that follow our regulations. Now, having said that, we had difficulty with one company, and they were, quite frankly, banned for a year because they were not following the rules and regulations to make it as customer-friendly as possible. Now, that may sound like an oxymoron. You get your car towed, and getting your car back is not necessarily a fun experience, but we have regulations that the tow companies must follow to make it easy for somebody's vehicle that has been towed because they were arrested, for example. We try to make that as customer-friendly as possible. And so we open it up to all of the potential towing companies that are interested to be in the rotation. And we do that, I believe, every 5 years, is it, Brian? Yeah.
So what is the cost usually on a per incident basis as far as, or is it a monthly fee? You know, I know it's probably something we hadn't talked about before, and that's why I'm kind of interested in just wondering if that'll be updated in this resolution document, or is it pretty much on a case-by-case?
Brian, would you like to address that as it relates to tow?
Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So what it is, we have an open market system here, so we allow as many, pretty much 10 at least, tow companies to participate in the rotation. Well, because of our generosity and the fact that these companies are making money, there's these regulations that we have to enforce. A lot of those regulations, quite frankly, are based on Arizona revised statutes. So we have to send an officer out to the tow companies and the tow yards, and they have to go through an inspection process to make sure that they're compliant in all these different areas. And it can take anywhere from a couple to 3 hours every time an officer has to do this. And so basically what we do is we figure out the hourly rate of an officer and how much time they spend on average doing these kinds of tows or these types of inspections, and then we create a yearly fee for the tow companies.
Any other questions, comments?
If we only had one tow company, we wouldn't have to do it because we'd only do it once a year. But we have 10. So,
Lucky.
right.
Other questions, comments, motions, commotions, promotions, demotions?
Thank you, Mayor.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Marty?
Motion to authorize the mayor in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign resolution number 1953, revising the town's administrative fees to delegate authority to the police department to set certain administrative fees from time to time by general orders by electronic vote.
Second, anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to second the motion.
Okay, with a motion and a second, would you set the vote, Diane?
Vice Mayor Anderson, do you wish to vote?
I'd be happy to. I'd vote yes, since I have no screen that allows it.
And Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Would you?
It didn't come up on my screen.
I think I got yours.
It's interesting. We're half and half here.
It did last time.
Again, Mayor, a 6-0 vote.
Then
4.
Mine showed up. I pressed a button. Nothing happened?
Yeah.
Anyway, mine is yes.
Yours did.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's 6-0?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we move on to number C. B? B, I'm sorry. Consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 1954, adopting the final development plan FDP 16002 for Pronghorn Ranch Unit 16. Carmen, you got it together?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. For your consideration this evening, I have Final Development Plan FDP 16-002 for Pronghorn Ranch, Unit 16. This request is an amended Final Development Plan. In, August of 2015, Unit 16 and 17 were approved. However, the plans were never platted. The owner of the subdivision would like to develop Unit 16 in 2 phases, and therefore this requires an amended subdivision agreement and amended development plan. This subdivision agreement has been prepared for this application, and it defines the development criteria and the financial assurances required for this phase development. The land use designation adopted by the General Plan 2025 is that of low-density residential. This zoning R1L10 PAD zoning district permits single-family development and is consistent with the General Plan 2025 designation. The engineering plans and cost estimates for phases A and B have been reviewed by the engineering department, and they have are found to meet town standards. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this FDP. I believe Dave Hubbs is here from Dorn Homes. He's the developer for this Pronghorn Ranch Unit 16, and he's available if council has any questions.
I think he should come and introduce himself. Okay. If he's not microphone shy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Dave Hubbs, and I work with Dorn Homes, and we're excited to be part of the development of Pronghorn Ranch. And do you guys have any further questions?
Questions, anyone? Comments? Laura?
A comment for me. I just want to tell you, I know several newcomers that have been purchasing, along with the people that have been there for a while. They love your home.
Oh, well, thank you.
And they're quick to talk about the area and that particular planned community. So you've done well, and we thank you for representing your company well here. And that makes us happy here in the Prescott Valley.
Well, thank you. We're glad to be part of Prescott Valley and the development that's gone on here so far. So,
good. Any other questions, comments? Anything else?
Just keep building.
We will.
keep doing it, she says. Questions, anyone? Motions, demotions?
Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to authorize the mayor to sign resolution number 1954 adopting and approving a final development plan FDP 16-002 for Pronghorn Ranch Unit 16 by electronic vote.
Second, anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a second.
We have the motion and a second. Diane, will you set the vote? Dave, that was good to see you. Carm, thank you. Who's not voting?
Vice Mayor and Councilmember Grossman.
Still not coming up.
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor, that was 6-0-4.
6-0.
6.
All in favor?
6 yes, 0 no.
Dave, keep building, okay? Thank you. Okay, we move on to C. Consideration of approving, ratifying the proposed revision of the Library Board of Trustees bylaws.
Good evening here. I'm sure you guys have already gotten this.
First of all, would you introduce yourself and some of the good people with you?
This is all the people on the library board here. We've got Stuart, our library director.
Now you have to stand closer to the microphone.
Oh, library director, Stuart. And Jarrett is married to Larry. I hope you don't mind Jarrett. And then we've got Bill Dodge. He's the new person on our board, which he's a joy to have already. Yeah. Yeah, Larry's here. So, but do you all have this revision request in front of you? Okay, great. Because what we need to do to change this bylaw, because it came about because the United States Postal Service needs a third party to administer the test and everything, and so they've asked that the library is a potential person to do this testing. And it needs a town employee to sign for the contract and everything, and usually Larry's the one, historically, who has been signing these.
So it's his fault.
Yeah. So look at him. And so what they require is an official town member or an employee to sign for this. And so if we can change this bylaw, then we can have Stuart sign for it, and then he can start proctoring these tests that are required for potential United States Postal Service employees to take. Make sense? Good.
We didn't get a copy.
Oh, you want to check?
Any comments, Laura?
Well, once again, they turn to the library, who's a pillar of the community. So that's all I have to say about that, and I want to thank our team over there.
Any other comments, questions? Stuart, anything else you want to add to it?
Well, we do proctor quite often, and so this is one of the only times that they require the signature on a contract. We do provide that service for a lot of different organizations, but in this case, this is the way they have to deal with it, and so we're trying to follow them so that we can provide the service without having to wait for you-know-who to get off the hill to sign the contract. So.
What hill?
Oh, Sam Hill?
Any other comments, questions?
No, I just want to make comment. There's no financial impact on the town, and I think we're doing a public service, and I think this makes it more official, and I'm glad that the library is willing to take that on, so appreciate that.
Any motions? Mike?
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the proposed revision to the Library Board of Trustees bylaws.
Second, anyone? Okay, with a motion and a second, will you set the vote, Diane?
Thank you.
Find out if it passes.
Vice Mayor votes yes.
I vote yes, too.
Thank you both. That would be 6 yes, 0
Everybody
no.
votes yes, so go for it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're on to D, consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign the lease agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Central Arizona for a town-owned property at 8201 Luce Drive. Ryan?
Mayor and Council, as you're aware, or you may not be aware, but hopefully you're aware, the building on the corner of Robert and Luce that's currently occupied by the Boys and Girls Club, it's actually a town-owned building. There's a little bit of history to it. I believe the Casa Center used to occupy that building before they moved to their facility on Manzanita. And in 1999, we entered into a lease agreement with the Boys and Girls Club to occupy that facility. We leased it to them for a whole $1 a year and then a share of the utilities. That lease was signed for 5 years at the time because that was a CDBG requirement. The town and at that time used monies to renovate the building and get it ready for the Boys and Girls Club. And in 2004, that lease went into a month-to-month tenancy, and it's been that way ever since, under the same terms and conditions. Within the past few months, we've taken your direction to begin applying for another CDBG grant to expand that facility. Within 3 days of opening this year, they were on a waiting list, so we know there's a big need for them to host kids in that building. Anytime you use CDBG funds for a capital project, you're required to maintain those improvements for 5 years. So the Boys and Girls Club would have to have access for guaranteed 5 more years if we are successful in getting that grant. So we are proposing a new lease with them that will guarantee that they'll be in that building for at least 5 years. It's actually a 10-year initial term, and we did that because we have up to 2 years to complete the improvements, and then you would add the 5-year cycle on top of that. So we just figured we would make it a 10-year lease, and there are some options for them to extend that as well. We are proposing again to share the utilities for the building at what used to be a 60-40 split, us paying 60, them 40. Primarily that was because we used to have a staff member that was inside that building. We haven't had a staff member in there for a number of years, so we are proposing a 50-50 split on those utilities. So those are the basic elements of the lease. I'm happy to answer any questions for you. Still $1 a year.
Questions? Are we making any money on that?
No.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, what's been really problematic is when Ryan goes over and collects 8 cents every month because they're on month to month, and I
actually think they're behind in their payments. So I'm just kidding.
I think we should compliment the club on how well they've recovered and how busy that building is, and the fine, outstanding contribution that is to our community.
Yeah, they're doing very well.
CPI has raised 3%. You don't think we should go up 3%?
Maybe $1.03
other
a year.
Questions? Mike?
No, I wanted to just echo the sentiments as well. I think they're at a point now that they're creating a list because they can't help any additional kids. And I think they are probably a model for this area because I think we serve more kids than they do in Prescott. So it's a very well utilized facility. And we do look forward to the CBDG or Community Development Block Grant funds to hopefully fund an expansion. So we're looking forward to that.
Good. Other questions? Comment, Laura?
No. I made
Comments,
mine.
questions, motions? Mike? Laura?
I'll make a motion. Motion to authorize mayor in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign a lease agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Central Arizona for the town-owned property located at 8201 Luce Drive by electronic and voice vote.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Second. We got a motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane? Ryan, by the way, I think it's been a real good one, so just keep it up.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Mayor, the vote is 6 yes, 0 no.
Ryan, go for it. It passes. Okay, we move on then to number E. Consideration of approving the grant agreement with the state of Arizona through the Arizona State Forestry Division in the amount of $29,000 on behalf of the Upper Verde River Watershed Protection Coalition. John, you have a special guest here from the Forest Service.
We do, Mayor. Just as a little bit of background before I introduce our guests, although you all know this, folks at home may not, the Upper Verde River Watershed Protection Coalition is a coalition of local governments in our area. It includes the town of Prescott Valley, city of Prescott, Yavapai County, Yavapai Prescott Indian Tribe, and the town of Chino Valley. This coalition has been working for a number of years to identify issues with a watershed and has completed a watershed restoration plan. The issue with our watershed, of course, is where we get the water that we drink every day goes into our aquifer that we pump out for our long-term supplies. That watershed has been experiencing severe overgrowth of woody vegetation, and it's a massive problem across the state, as you're well aware. Aside from using up big supplies of water, it also creates hazardous fire conditions, and we know how that's affected our communities. So as we address this issue, we're trying to create a forest products industry, or recreate a forest products industry, so that we have some private partners in this task of restoring our watersheds back to more native conditions. In doing this, we've created a really fantastic partnership with the Arizona Forestry, State Forestry, and I'll introduce our guests. Russ Shoemate. Russ right here is the district manager, local, has an office in Chino Valley with State Forestry. And Patrick Rappold, Dr. Rappold, is our wood utilization and marketing specialist with State Forestry. And I think Patrick will talk a little bit about the grant and what we plan to do with the money. So,
gentlemen, welcome.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Patrick Rappel with Arizona State Forestry. I run the wood utilization program in Arizona. In 2014, Arizona State Forestry applied for a funding mechanism with the U.S. Forest Service to do pass-through grants to organizations that would like to do wood-to-energy feasibility studies or wood supply studies. So I have a group of people that I work with that score the grants that we receive, and then we award the funding based upon the grant scores. In the last round of proposals I received, I did receive a proposal from the Upper Verde Watershed Protection Coalition. It scored very high. It came with a lot of background information, and I would like to, I did fund it through my mechanism, through the state forestry, and I can answer any questions about the funding mechanism or the program in general.
Questions, anyone? I think, no, go ahead, Laura.
Well, it's a point of pride, everyone in the room and our viewers should know. We've formed this fabulous partnership that is so meaningful. And Patrick, you've worked so hard and you've been an outstanding partner. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that. But overall, we're really working towards making a significant difference, a positive difference in our watershed. And it's been too long coming. And of course, tomorrow we have our very first pilot program for the biomass part of this. So I'm hyper and I'm excited. And we cannot thank you and your service enough. There just aren't words that adequately express the importance of where this grant is going to take us. So thank you for recognizing that. Thank you for making it happen.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention, in terms of the big picture, I interface with a lot of different private industries throughout the country. And one question they always have in common is, what is your wood supply? What is the long-term supply? And what is the immediate supply? So I think this grant will answer some of those questions and hopefully attract businesses to this area.
Right. Did you hear that? Jobs, jobs, jobs.
Other comments, questions, anything else, Laura?
Mr. Mayor, I just had a question. That is, I know that our agreement is in 1-year term, and I assume this will go further into the future, or will we look at this approach again or see if funds are available to renew a grant? How does that work?
The funding I have from the Forest Service will last until 2019. The grant agreement I believe we have in place with the coalition is for 1 year. And that was their stated time frame that they felt as though they could get the work done that they had put in the grant. Mm-hmm. But it's always possible to resubmit a grant later on for a different project. If a business moves here, or if a building, a private building, a public building wants to do a wood energy feasibility study, that is also potentially a funding project that I can fund. Mm-hmm. So it's we have the money until 2019. It can change slightly, but that's the time frame I'm currently working under. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Other questions?
Harvey?
Yeah, Laura?
Patrick, I think we ought to acknowledge one of our partners out there, Melody, don't you?
Melody Reesnider?
Yes.
Yes. Melody's done a lot of good work. She does a lot of on-the-ground stuff in terms of contacting the businesses directly after I give her the contact information. There's a lot of private business information exchange, and I can't always answer the business's questions directly because I'm not directly on the ground. So Melody's always a good resource for me to have.
She won't speak to me for at least an hour now, but thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Russ, you got anything to add to it? No. Well, at least stand up so we... I know, I remember your dad, and I'm trying to remember just how the relationship was. But where was it, your dad? Your grandfather? It must be your dad.
No, it was my dad. Was with the Forest Service. He was law enforcement, so hopefully it was good contact. I always have to see if they got him arrested or if they worked with him. So.
Oh, that's good.
For this grant specifically, I don't have a whole lot, but just generally, we're working closely with the Upper Verde River Watershed and State Land Department to look at the woodland component of not only the Upper Verde River Watershed, but Yavapai County as a whole, just in a big picture setting, to do all sorts of ecosystem management improvement projects, watershed being a main thing, but anytime you go out in the ecosystem and do vegetation management, you're impacting a lot of aspects of that ecosystem. So fire, risk reduction, which is a major portion, forest health improvement, grassland restoration, savanna restoration, will be some of the focuses of state forestry going into the future, and specifically my district was the Northwest District, which is Yavapai County and Southern Mojave County. So we will, this is part of a big picture thing, and we're going to be working in this area for quite a while into the future, I think.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
Very good job.
Russ, is it fair to say that part of this process, we will restore natural habitats because we've had so many invasive species eating up our grasslands, et cetera?
Absolutely. The grasslands historically have been encroached by the woody vegetation due to multiple things, fire, exclusion, multiple things. So anytime we get to a restoration of what we in forestry term pre-Anglo conditions, or getting closer to those pre-Anglo conditions, that's what the ecosystem evolved with. So everything that benefits from that ecosystem would find improvement. So wildlife habitat, watershed health, forest health, tree health, grassland health, health of the soil communities in general, everything will be improved if we can move closer to what those ecosystems evolved as.
Thank you. I had a citizen that was very concerned that we were altering the wildlife habitat, and I said, no, we're returning it. And so
Correct.
Thank you for mentioning that without me prompting you.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, motions? Anyone?
Of course, I want to make that motion. Motion to approve the grant agreement with the State of Arizona through the Arizona State Forestry Division in the amount of $25,000 on behalf of the Upper Verde River Watershed Protection Coalition by an electronic vote and voice vote.
Second, anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Result, Mayor, is 6 yes
Okay.
and 0 no.
John, put it in gear. Appreciate that. Okay, we move on to F. Consideration of approving a consultant agreement with TSS to carry out the body or the study to be funded by the approved grant agreement on behalf of the Upper Verde River Watershed Protection Coalition. John, you want to tell us about that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, thank you for the previous vote, because now with that money in hand, we're going to hire a consultant and get going on this thing. So wasting no time, we have a contract and a work order with a scope of work, I should say, with TSS Consultings to conduct the biomass feedstock analysis that the grant you just approved is targeted for. Feedstock analysis will provide information to the biomass industry, the forest products industry, to determine whether or not they can come here, and we believe they'll be able to come here and effectively address our overstock condition on the forest. So that's basically it. We're ready to hire.
Lady behind you, is she part of the program?
Did you have anything to add? Oh, she's here in case we have questions. That's Melody Reif-Snyder.
Okay. Maybe she wants to introduce herself. Melody?
Hi, I'm Melody Reif-Snyder with Sage Consulting, and I do grants management for the coalition.
Good.
and grant writer supreme.
Thank you.
Any tough questions for Melody or John? Motions, anyone?
Go ahead, somebody.
Mike?
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the consultant agreement with TSS to carry out the study to be funded by the approved grant agreement on behalf of the Upper Verde River Watershed Protection Coalition.
Second, anyone?
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Would you set the vote? Diane? Melody, that was good to see you.
It's good to
How
see
are
you
you
too.
folks? John, thanks for bringing him up.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Thank you both. Mayor, that is 6 ayes and 0 nay.
Okay, that one passes. John, you can go to work on it. Good, thank you. Okay, we'll go on into comments from the public. Those wishing to address the council need not request permission in advance. Any such remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole, not to any member thereof. Such remarks should be limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the mayor. You're up. Come on up and introduce yourself.
Mayor, Council. My name is Gary Denton. I'm the new owner of AMCO Transmissions
By the
over
way,
there in
we're
Prescott Valley.
hearing good things about that, so keep
Well,
it up.
thank you. About 8 months ago when I took it over, I was cleaning it up and I found a wheelchair, electric wheelchair in the back, and it was all covered with stuff and it was in pretty bad shape. And I asked my guys to get it out and see what they can do to get it running again. Because my goal was to find someone in need, because I had no need for it. So they did an amazing job of restoring the wheelchair, refurbishing it to like new. It ran perfect. We put new batteries in it. So then we went on through a vetting program to try to find a good recipient. So we looked to a lot of veterans in the community. So I worked with the ESGR, and it took almost 4 or 5 weeks to actually find someone who qualified for the chair. And what we did, when we presented the chair, it was a very emotional experience for everybody. How the gentleman was kind of stuck just in the area around his house because he had just a regular wheelchair, didn't have a powered chair, and he didn't have the physical strength to actually move his chair in other places. So once he got the chair, he realized that he can go to swap meets, he can go shopping with his wife. It got him out of the house, and it completely changed his life. That was a couple weeks ago when we made that presentation. The next day, I realized that I got to find another wheelchair. I got to do this again because it just made everyone feel good. My technicians were, everybody was happy about that. So I decided right then and there I need to start a project. And what I did, I came up with a project called the Wheels of Freedom Project. And it has nothing to do with AMCO other than my guys, my technicians, and myself. We're going out and we're asking for donations of older, worn-out, non-running electric wheelchairs that are around the community, and I'm already finding out there are plenty of them, to get them into our facility where we can restore them and then reach out to the veteran organizations and the VA and try to find vets who are in need of those. Because even vets that have insurance or through the VA, they don't always get an electric wheelchair. They get just a basic chair that just gets them around the house. So my passion, my goal is to make sure that every vet who needs one gets one. If I have just a couple more minutes, I can read our mission statement here. It says the Wheels of Freedom Project. The Wheels of Freedom Project is an effort to create awareness of the needs and abilities of veterans with physical disabilities, to promote the joy of giving, create local friendship, and deliver a powered wheelchair to every veteran in the area who needs one but cannot afford one. For these people, the Wheels of Freedom Project delivers hope, mobility, and independence. So we created a Facebook page, put it online yesterday, called Wheels of Freedom. And within one day, we've had 8,600 people already get on board and respond. So I believe this project's going to really take off. Well, we're going to have a booth at the Prescott Valley Days, so hope to see you out there. We'll be out there with some veterans and some applications, And the VA actually just donated a wheelchair for us, and some local other veteran communities have started to donate wheelchairs as well. So I just want your support for this, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Get their names and everything, Diane? We didn't introduce the lady that's with you.
This is Mr. Denton.
Good.
Do you have any more of those flyers?
Yes, I did bring some. I could leave them up front for you if you wish.
And we commend you and thank you. And I can see the joy coming from you. You got probably as much of a blessing as that veteran did.
Absolutely.
It's joyful to behold.
Yeah, thank you.
Introduce your partner.
Oh. This is my wife, Kathy. And she's definitely an inspiration to me and helps me out with all of this stuff. So thank you.
Well, I hear that you're really a good team, so just keep it up. And we appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Good.
Really
Thank
glad
you
to
so
see you here, Gary. Good to see you here.
Okay. Now we go on to any other public comment? I don't see any more. Okay, we move on to number 11, a motion to convene into executive session per Arizona Revised Statute 38-431-03A4 to discuss or consult with the attorneys of the public body in order to consider the position and instruct the attorneys with regard to the following litigation. Event Center bankruptcy. Anyone care to make a motion to convene to electric or executive session? Stephen?
Mayor, I'll make a motion. Motion to convene into an executive session. Amend 3716. Motion to convene into executive session per ARS 38-431.03A4 to discuss and consult with attorneys of the public body in order to consider its position and instruct the attorneys with regard to the following litigation: Event Center bankruptcy.
Good. Second, anyone?
I'll second.
Okay, with a motion and a second, would you set the vote, Diane?
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, that's 6 ayes and
Passes.
0
Thank
nays.
you. Okay, good. So we can go to work on that. Okay, we'll rest here for a couple of minutes here until you get set up for executive session.